Hello, boys and girls. I miss you so much. Today we're going to be doing a little lesson on area and perimeter. You have been learning about area and perimeter for a while now, and well, the past week or so, and I know you had some knowledge of it in the past. We're going to apply that knowledge and what you've learned in the past week or so to a few new types of problems and maybe take it to the next level with some challenges. So I'm going to start by sharing my screen so that I can provide some information to you. And we're going to start with a problem in bridges. And you actually have this page in your student book. If you were to turn in your student book, I think it's page 44. I should have had that prepared for you, but it is only a few pages after the page that we just completed about factor pairs, and then you had the one where you had to do the measurements of different things in your house. So that's the one I'm talking about. And the problem is Flora's problem. So Flora wanted to make a shirt for her little brother's teddy bear. She needed exactly 240 square centimeters of cloth. She cut a rectangle of cloth that was 6 centimeters by 10 centimeters. Was that enough? Now, don't go shouting out the answer, okay? We're kind of starting basic. I'm also sharing with you a cool app that might help some of you that are struggling with area and perimeter, and it's a visual app that you can use by using base 10 mats and strips and blocks. So this is something that I'm sharing with you on your to-do list for this week. So you could, all you have to do is launch the app, and what you're going to see, let me move this down a little bit. When you do that is you're going to see that you want to do it through the Chrome web store. And then if you hit launch app, since you have Chrome on most of your devices or all of your devices, it should be something that you can just add very easily. So that is what you're seeing right now. And I've got the same problem up here as well. And you can, obviously, you probably thought to yourself, well, if she cut a piece of fabric, and let's go back to the problem for a second. If she cut a rectangle of cloth that was 6 centimeters by 10 centimeters, you probably in your mind thought of a base 10 mat like this, and you know that the formula for area is length times width. So if she had a length of 10 centimeters, and we're assuming that each of these blocks is a centimeter cube, and she had, well, we're only going to think two-dimensionally right now because it's just a piece of fabric. It's not a three-dimensional object. And she had a width of 6 centimeters, I should say. And you know the area formula is length times width. That would simply just be 6 times 10, which would make it 60 square centimeters. So does she have enough fabric? What did the problem ask? It said she needed exactly 240 square centimeters of cloth. Well, as you can see, she only has 60 square centimeters. So she doesn't have close to enough fabric to make this teddy bear a t-shirt. So what do you think we need to do? Take a minute and either using your dry erase board or in your notebook, kind of think about how you would solve this problem. And again, she needs 240 square centimeters to make the teddy bear's shirt. What would you need to do? So think about that. If you hear somebody laughing in the background, that would be my husband. He's on a business call upstairs. So he's working from home. I'll be quiet and give you a minute to think. Just kidding. Okay, so the magic of television / Zoom will show you that I have taken several of these base 10 mats and put them together. And there's my hint, there's my hint. If she needs 240 square centimeters, how is she going to figure out what size fabric she needs? What are her dimensions going to be? What will the length be? What will the width be? Well, one way you could do it is to take that 240, and since we are working in base 10, divide that by 10, and that would give you 24 square centimeters, which you can see I've represented here with my base 10 mats. I've got 24 centimeters wide, a width of 10 centimeters and length of 24 centimeters. You could switch it, it wouldn't matter. You know that based on your family knowledge. And that's how you would get that. So if you want to count those individually, feel free. You can do that in your spare time and replay this video because I am going to post it on Google Classroom for you as well. And hello, remote kids. If you're not doing this live math lesson right now, you hopefully are watching this on your own. I miss you guys too. Okay, so let's go back to the worksheet, and there are actually 2 pages to this, and see if you can answer some of these problems, okay? So what is the problem asking us to do? What is the problem asking you to do? Go ahead and answer that. What information will you need to solve it? Solve the problem. Now you might have a different way to solve that problem, and that's okay. That actually is going to be addressed on the next page as well. I gave you one way, and you certainly can come up with another way. And then finally, did Flora cut a big enough piece of cloth? If not, how much more does she need? So think back to our problem. Okay, this was what she originally cut, 60 square centimeters of cloth. This is what she needed 240 square centimeters of cloth. I'll even write that up here, 10. And this is 24. And we know length times width equals area. Remember, area is the amount inside, not just around. That's some skill, and I'm sorry you're probably jumping out of your skin. No, it's not Haley's dog. That was my dog. One of them. Okay, so now onto the second page, and these are some questions that you can kind of do on your own, but I do want to read the first one to you. It says, Flora tries again. She's not giving up. After Flora found that the piece of cloth she'd cut wasn't big enough, she tried again several times to cut a piece that was exactly 240 square centimeters. Here are the dimensions of the 4 other rectangles she cut. 10 centimeters by times 8 centimeters, so 10 by 8. 10 centimeters by 12 centimeters, 10 times 12. 10 centimeters by 15 centimeters, 10 times 15, and 10 centimeters by 23 centimeters, 10 times 23. Circle the combination you believe will produce a piece of cloth closest to the size Flora needs. I think now you'll probably know what that answer is. And then I want you to create a rectangular array with base 10 area pieces. You can just draw that. You can use graph paper, which is in your is in the back of your Bridges book, or you can just simply draw this and put the blocks in that drawing that you do, even on this paper or in your notebook is fine. And see how many different combinations you can come up with. Okay, I showed you one, but there are other combinations. And then I want you to, for each of the combinations that she came up with, I want you to find the area of that piece of cloth Flora cut. Record your answers below and make sure you label with the proper units. Finally, okay, we have a challenge question. Can you think of more than one way for Flora to cut a rectangle that is exactly 240 square centimeters? Take a minute. This might be something you want to do on your dry erase board or in your notebook and share with people at your table. See if you can come up with more than one way. I showed you one way. See if you can come up with more than one way. I'll give you a minute to do that. Sorry about that, guys. Okay. So now we're going to kind of switch gears for a minute and try out some other area and perimeter word problems. Okay, this is the challenge part of this. This can be a little bit tricky. So we're going to see if, and this is going to be an assignment this week through Khan Academy. Before we do that, I do want to share with you a little video problem, and we're going to kind of walk through that. Let me back it up a little bit. This one involves building a dog pen. Here goes.
Mike built a rectangular dog pen that is 21 feet long and has a perimeter of 78 feet. What is the width of Mike's dog pen? So let's draw what it might look like. So it might look something like this. Do my best to draw a rectangular potential dog pen. So let's say that this is the dog pen right over here. And they give us its length. Its length is 21 feet. Its length is 21 feet. So this distance right over here is 21 feet. And of course, if that distance is 21 feet, this distance is also going to be 21 feet. Now they also tell us that the perimeter is 78.
Okay, so I can't hear your answers, but how does he know that both sides of this rectangular dog pen are 21 feet? What do you know about that? Opposite sides of rectangles are the same length, right? So you know if one side is 21 feet, the other side has to be 21 feet. Is that going to be true of the shorter sides of this dog pen as well? What do you think? Let's keep listening.
Feet. So the perimeter is 78 feet. 78 feet. So we need to figure out the width, and the width would be this length, or this width, I should say, this width, which is going to be the same thing as that width right over here. So let's think about, and we know how we figure out the perimeter. If we added this distance, 21 feet to this distance, the width, plus 21 feet to the width again, we're going to get to 78 feet. So one way to back into what the width is to say, well, look, if we sum up all of these lengths, we're going to get 28 feet. So let's at least subtract these two orange lengths, the two 21 feet from the 78 feet. And then we figure out how much length, essentially, these two widths have to make up. So let's subtract. Let's do 78 minus 21 minus 21.
Okay, so take a second and do that. See what you come up with. 78 minus 21 minus 21. Now, if you're like me, which a lot of you are, you're probably going to want to combine 21 plus 21 first and then subtract that from 78, which he is going to do. Take a second and figure that out. Okay, let's see if you're right.
What's that going to be equal to? So that's 78 minus 42, and 78 minus 42, I don't want to make a careless mistake. 78 minus 42 is going to get me to 36. So this is equal to 36. So let's remind ourselves what 36 is, what 36 feet is. That's the total length, or I should say the total width, if we were to take the width down here and add it to the width up here. Now we know something else. These are the exact same width, that this distance is the same as this distance. And if we add
Were you right about that? Bet you were.
them together, we get to 36. So what are two distances, or what are two numbers that I can add together to get to 36? Well, we know that 18 plus 18, we know that 18 plus 18 is equal to 36. So this one down here must be 18, and this one up here must also be 18. And we can verify that. Try adding all of these up together. You add the two widths, you get 18 plus 18, and you add the two lengths, plus 21 plus 21, and you are left with 36, which is exactly what we got here. This is what we needed the two widths to add up to, plus 42, plus 42, which is, of course, equal to 36 plus 42 is equal to 78, which is the perimeter.
Okay, so not very hard, okay, pretty simple. Now we're going to take that knowledge and kind of apply it to some more challenging problems. So get ready on your dry erase boards or in your notebooks. It doesn't matter to me. Here's the first one. Jordan wants to create a rectangular border around his classroom bulletin board, and he has 30 meters of border. Which of these dimensions will give Jordan the largest area? Okay, if you want to picture that bulletin board he's talking about, and you've seen the borders around our bulletin boards, he's talking about putting a border around that bulletin board. And that bulletin board border will be 30 meters, 30 meters. So which of these dimensions will give Jordan the largest area? Take a minute, see if you can figure that out. Okay, let's see. Normally I would say, okay, how many of you thought it was A? How many of you thought it was B? How many of you thought it was C? And if you used your area formula and you multiplied length times width, 7 times 8 is 56, 12 times 3 is 36, and 10 times 5 is 50. So largest area would be A. If you got A, you got it right. I actually was solving some earlier. I wish I could go back to those because I kind of liked it. Okay, let's try one very similar to the dog pen one. Here goes. Hey, that 240 just keeps haunting us, doesn't it? Steve built a square hamster pen that has a perimeter of 240 centimeters. What is the length of one side of Steve's hamster pen? Okay, take a minute. See if you can figure it out. so I've given you a few minutes. Now, obviously, a square has equal sides. So we know that the perimeter, each side of his hamster pen is going to be the same length, same width, okay? So in order to figure out what the perimeter is, we know the perimeter is the distance around something, not the distance inside, not the amount of space taken up inside, like area. We're talking about distance around, and we know there are 4 sides in this hamster pen, and all the sides are equal. So we can simply take 240 and divide that by the number of sides, which is 4, and that number will give you the length of each side. Okay, easy way to do it. If you are one that likes to do it, and I wish I could draw that in, but I can't, but I'm going to just simply put this, oops, not Z's, hey, tired. Let me put it like this. I don't have the exact thing. So you know, you can ask yourself, how many times will 4 go into 24? Well, we know that will go, or what times 4 equals 24? And if you think about that, we know that that is 6. And remember the tricks we learned about dividing, multiplying numbers that end in 0, base 10. You can simply just add that 0, and we know that each side of that hamster pen is going to be 60 centimeters. How many of you got that? I hope so. And let's see if we're right. Woohoo! All right. Let's try another. A rectangle has a width of set 10 centimeters. The rectangle's length is 4 times its width. What is the perimeter of the rectangle? A rectangle has a width of 10 centimeters. The rectangle's length is 4 times its width. What is the perimeter of the rectangle? Take a minute, see if you can figure that out. I would recommend drawing out that rectangle. Okay, so let's talk about this. We know the rectangle has a width of 10 centimeters. So width, if you kind of think about, and you could certainly draw this different ways, but you know that it has a width, if I can get my cursor to work correctly, okay, width of 10 centimeters. And we know that it has, the length is 4 times the width. So if the width is 10 centimeters, 10, you're going to take 10 and multiply that by 4, because we know it is 4 times, the length is 4 times bigger. So we know that the length is going to be 10 times 4 is 40 centimeters. Okay, so now we know that our width is 10. Okay, and we know that in a rectangle, opposite sides are equal. So we know that the other side is 10. We know that our length now, which is the long side, is 40. And I don't want to do that, hold on. And we know that the opposite side is 40. I'm not going to try to do that. So again, the question says, what is the perimeter? So take that information. We know that this side is 10, this side is 10. The length, sorry, I shouldn't say this side. The width is 10. The width on the opposite side is 10. The length is 40 centimeters. Opposite side length is 40 centimeters. So what is the perimeter? Take a second, figure that out. Okay. So hopefully you knew that you would have to add up those sides. 10 plus 10 plus 40 plus 40. And of course that equals 40 plus 40 is 80, plus 10 is 90, plus another 10 is 100 centimeters. So the perimeter is 100 centimeters. Let's see if we're right. 100. Woo, we're so smart. Okay, a couple more to go. A square has an area of 100 square meters. 100 square meters. Okay, we're talking area now. The square has an area of 100 square meters. What is the perimeter of the square? And that's where, if you get a problem like this, this is a perfect opportunity to possibly use this number app that Bridges has. And it's really simple to use. You can just drag these different things out and use the base 10 mats. You can use the base 10 strips, and you can use the base 10 blocks as well. So that might be something that you want to try with this one. I'll give you a minute to think about it. Okay, well, I'm gonna actually go back to this because, as we know, a base 10 mat, and this was in centimeters, but we can also think of this as meters. So if you kind of imagine that each of these cubes is a square meter, and we have 100 square meters in here, how long would each length and width or each side be in this? We know that it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It is the length of a base 10 strip, and it is also the width of a base 10 strip. Okay, so if we were to want to know the area, and I could simply, you can actually make these colored as well, kind of cool. If we were to multiply 10 times 10, we would get 100 centimeters. Sorry, meters in this case. We're pretending that we are using meters, and we would get 100 meters, which is, if we go back, whoops, wrong one. If we go back, we know that it is 100 square meters, and we want to know what the perimeter is. Okay, so we checked just now to make sure that I was right. So 10 times 10, 100 meters. And we do know that that is the area, but how are we going to figure out the perimeter? Perimeter, the formula for perimeter, we do what? You're right. You add up the sides. So if we know that this side is 10, and this side is 10, and this side is 10, and this side is 10, we just simply have to add those up. 10. Let's do it. 10 plus 10. Oh, I keep putting equals. Shift. Plus 10 plus 10 plus 10. And that equals, drum roll please. You got it. 40 meters. Remember, we're talking meters with this, not centimeters. So let's go back to our Khan Academy and let's see if we're right. Is the perimeter 40 meters? Oh my gosh, we're so smart. All right, last practice problem. Jason built a rectangular tool shed that is 8 meters wide and has an area of 96 square meters. What is the length of Jason's tool shed? Jason built a rectangular tool shed that is 8 meters wide and has an area of 96 square meters. Okay, I'll give you a few minutes to figure out the problem. Okay. I'm sorry if I'm not giving you enough time. I'm trying my best. It's hard to gauge, but if you're still working on it, that's fine. Let me go back down here. Get down a little bit. I'm going to just insert another one right here. Okay. So we're going to think of this, make this a little bit bigger. And we're going to think of this as his tool shed. Okay, we know that it is 8 meters wide. The tool shed is 8 meters wide. So the width of that tool shed is 8 meters, 8 meters, okay? And it's a rectangle, it's a rectangular tool shed. So we know that might as well put what we know. We know that both sides are going to be 8 meters because of our knowledge of opposite angles, okay? Opposite angles are the same in a rectangle. And we don't know the length, okay? We don't know the length. All we know is the width, and we know what the area is. And the area is 96. Okay, so the area equals 96 square meters, okay? Pressure doing this on video. Okay, so I'm gonna bring this back so I can show you both. Come on, there we go. And I'm gonna move it actually because it's bugging me. Put it right here and then erase this. So we know that area is achieved by the formula length times width, right? Well, we don't know the length. All we know is the width, and the width is 8. But we can plug in the other information, right? So take that for a second. See if you were struggling, maybe now you can kind of figure it out. Okay, we don't know the length. The length is L. But we do know the width, and that is 8. And we do know the area, which is 96. So what could you do to figure that out? Well, hopefully you knew, based on your fact families, that in order to find that missing amount, we have to come up with a number that when multiplied by 8 would give you 96. So what times 8 would be 96? So you could kind of go through your mind and start thinking of it. Another thing you could do would be to say 96 divided by 8, and you could figure out what that would be. Okay, that would be your length. Okay, you could go through, easy thing to do would be to start with, 8 times 5, okay, or 8 times 10. 10 times 8 is 80. Well, that's not going to be enough. It's got to be bigger than that. Your 11s pretty quickly. 8 times 11 is 88. Well, we know that's not enough. What about 12 times 8? What about 12 times 8? 12 times 8. 12 times 8. Well, 2 times 8 is, let me go back a little bit, is 16. Carry our 1. 8 times 1 is 8. Plus 1 is 9. So we know that 12 times 8 is 96. So that means we know that our length must equal 12. How would you look at that? So now we can plug that in. 12 times 8 is 96. So we now know that length is 12 meters. Let's see if we're right. What is the length? 12. Check it. Oh my goodness. So good. So good. Yes, I did miss one early on. So no making fun of me. Okay, guys. So hopefully you were able to hang in there. We are going to be learning about finding the perimeter of combination shapes and seeing an area of combination shapes and seeing like if you have two rectangles that are like interlocking together. We're going to be learning about that more later. Thank you guys. I miss you and I hope you're having a great day and behave and do your best. Goodbye.